You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Oh, cut it off a bit abruptly there, Don. Now, Don, just this will be apparent when people listen to the podcast, but I've already spoken in your absence to John Van Wisser from Scotland and John Locko, who's over there. We had to ring them at 6 a.m. in the morning, and in order for you to be part of the conversation, you would have had to get up at 3. So I took it on myself. I did tell you that I was going to speak to him, so will be downloaded on part 3. Or
so I've got to listen to the interview, do you? To find out how they're getting on?
No.
I can't ask you questions now.
Yes, you can. You can, of course, Don. But could I just indicate to people listening to this? This is how grumpy this person is. I do this with.
Who?
You.
Oh, have you looked at yourself? What you see in others is a reflection of yourself.
Would you like me to expand on?
No, you don't have to.
So I've got a whole lot of photos of me up here playing football because I thought rather than collect dust out the back, I would put them up out here.
Bullshit! You just look at them each day. There's one with the tints with. Who's that one behind you where you got your hair tinted and you got suntanned arms, big arms? You were on steroids.
So
is that Joe Frazier?
As I was saying...
Excuse me, is that Joe Frazier over your shoulder?
As I was saying, I had
a whole lot of... You got Muhammad Ali, you got Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Kiss, Gene Simmons. This is all Johnny's photographs.
As I was saying...
Then there's a few of you flying for marks. Did you take all those marks?
As I was saying, I had a whole lot of photos out the back collecting dust, so I thought I'd bring them into the podcast room, because if we ever film this, it'll add a bit of colour and movement.
No, you're going to pan around each day on your photographs. Why don't you pan around now? We've got the camera going.
So we'll add a bit of colour and movement. So I said to Don, Don, so they're not all my photos, why don't you bring some of your photos in and we'll put them up? So I don't want to monopolise the photo library here. And Don said, no, I haven't got any. And I said, you haven't got any? And he said, I got some somewhere. I said, they're in a box somewhere. I said, well, bring them in. So I've asked him for 2 weeks in a row to bring him in. So finally I go to the Google Don Scott on the Google machine and I download 3 photos of him playing football, go down to the Photoshop, get them blown up, put in a frame, put them up on the thing, and he said, I've only got 3 photos, you've got 20. I said, Don, gee whiz, man. So how ungrateful can you get? So this prompted me to, I saw this prompted me to read this out. The next time you dislike your life, remember it's all about perspective. I have a friend who reads 2 to 3 books a week, works out twice a day, has no financial worries, and has people who want to have sex with him all the time. And yet he constantly complains about how much he hates prison. Did you like that? Right. Now, so it's all about perspective, Don. Now, we spoke to John Van Wisser, and he's over there, and he's going to swim... What? What are you laughing? What are you doing?
Well, I'm on a roll. I've got pages of topics, and I don't think I'll get them out because you're on a roll.
Go ahead.
And this is your big opportunity for the
Go
week.
ahead.
Now, can we start the thing by starting a shout out? Now, Tim approached me at the football on Saturday, the local football. Pines were playing Frankston YCW, and Tim wanted to know the first story. What happened at the Swingers Club?
Well, now
Tim, I've given you the shout out. He wouldn't give me his surname. People get embarrassed, don't they?
They do.
But Tim, here we go.
Okay, so
who went?
Just a minute, Don. If you ask me to give you a rundown, don't interrupt me. I'm going to tell you who went. I'll tell you 2 people who didn't go, and that's you and Phoebe, who piked out at the last minute.
We were swinging somewhere else.
So Matt, if you'll remember, from Best Friends Wine Bar, said, why don't you come down and have a look at what we did the podcast on? So I, seeing as Sue was in here, I asked Sue and I said, the four of us will go down. The four of us will go down. So I picked Sue up to go down there, and I said, I'm just waiting for Don and Phoebe to arrive, and I get a phone call from Phoebe. She said, no, look, Sam, she said, I'm not going to come. I've squibbed it. And I said, I said to Sue, did you speak to Don? He said, oh, yes. She said, Don said, no, I'm not coming. So off we go to the Best Friends Wine Bar, where there we are.
What's it called?
Between Friends.
Oh,
Between Friends Wine Bar. So I've just on the off chance I got the kid off, I put me...
Your kid off?
What?
You got the kid off?
You
Well, what did you say?
I
asking
said
you.
just in case.
Oh, in case.
I got the kit off.
Oh, yeah.
I had a fresh pair of
What?
Smart as Sam underwear, which I'd
Good.
never worn, and I had them up under my pants, and
Well,
I
where
said
else
to-
would you have them,
I
over your head?
Said to Sue,
Oh.
I said, on the very off chance, I don't know. I said, have you
about-
got any clean underwear
Yeah,
on? And
what-
she said, well, so I've always got clean underwear on.
Oh, she's always prepared.
You are a dribbling fuck. You got to keep giving inane fucking dribbling comments as I go on. Oh, she's almost prepared. What the fuck? So we get there. So we drive in, and we're a bit early. I'll be honest. We get there at 8:30, and what?
Well, 10 o'clock the action starts, he said.
I said we got there a bit early.
Do you remember Matt said it starts at 10 o'clock, the action?
That's when people start to disrobe. We thought we'd get there a fraction early just to see how the land lies. So Matt opens the door and he gives us a rundown on what do you know, don't touch anyone up and all that sort of stuff.
No phones?
No. Well, hang on a minute, Don. God, this is going to be tough. So we go in and the mistress, if you remember. Do you remember the mistress?
I do.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about her.
Were you? What were you going to ask?
Is she a swinger?
She runs the joint with Matt. I don't know what she...
Well, why didn't you find out? That's a question we should have asked in the interview.
So she said, so downstairs, of course, as I told you, it's a bar and you can get pizzas and have drinks and people just sit there and they all check in and come in and everything like that. And it was all very hunky-dory, it was very nice. And the mistress said, before we allow people upstairs, do you want to go up and have a look at what happens upstairs? You know, a private tour.
That was the mistress.
Fuck me dead. How many years have we done this? So we go upstairs and there's various rooms up there, Don. So if you, and I'm not giving any stuff away because this is available to look on the website. So we go up and there's various rooms up there, Don. There's one where you can put your feet into stocks and you can sit in a chair and you hold your legs open. I presume if people want to exercise.
Gynecologist works there as
Something like that. Something like that, you can look, and if you shut the door, if you go into a private room, that means that no one else should come in, not allowed to come in. But if the door is open, people can wander in and watch you exercising the option. And someone said to me, "I'd like to give you a head job, but I don't think."
They said that to you?
I don't think I could get my mouth over your head. And I said, no, that's new. I didn't even know that's what a head job was. So we go into another room and there's it's a whipping station where you can get whipped or... this is an eye-opener to us. And so we looked at all that and there's condoms and there's lube and towels and things. I said, well, what happens when people go... I said to the mistress, when you get upstairs, what happens when all the slapping and slashing is going on and people have bodily fluids have sprung out from people's orifices and people's appendages? What do we do? She said, we have people come up and change the sheets. I said, well, that's encouraging, so that's good, so you don't have to bed down yourself on any sticky sheets or anything. It's very hygienic, Don. It's very, very well organised. So we come back down and people start to come in and to go...
So was there a sense of anticipation after you did the inspection upstairs? Did you come down kind of chafing at the bit?
champing at the bit.
Well,
Chafing means you got your pants rubbing up against
well,
your
you
oars.
could have. Well, you could have had
That means you got your plums being rubbed.
Yeah, but
by your
you
pants.
would have had that by
Champing
that
at the
time.
bit, I think, is
even with that operation that you had, I think you would have been. You would have been
champing at the bit.
Oh, I think
not
you would have
chafing.
been chafing somewhere.
No, chafing somewhere. So we come downstairs and we order. I don't drink. I had a bottle of water, and Sue just had a drink. And
Do you think you should have had some alcohol to just free yourself up a little bit?
I don't drink, Don. Did
No,
you hear
but
me say that?
you could relax a little bit.
I
You
was
would be very
perfectly
uptight just on
relaxed.
water.
I was so relaxed, which was a bit annoying. I was too relaxed. I couldn't get any
action
at all.
going.
No. And so anyhow, people came in, and then Matt came over and he said to me, "Do you mind if I announce that you're here?" No, hang on, Don. I said, "No, that's fine, Matt and Sue." So Matt gets up and he says, "Well, welcome to all the regulars. Nice to see this. All the regulars are here." And he said, and "There's a whole lot of new faces that we that have come in. We think that new faces are as a result of us speaking on the podcast, Don."
Oh.
Anyhow, and he said, and I said, "I'd like to welcome." And wait for this. He said, "I'd like to welcome Sam Newman and Phoebe." And that was Sue. He's got mixed up with Phoebe. So Sam, I said, "Sam's my guest. He came here with Phoebe to." Just see after the podcast, and I waved, and
Got up. Did you make a speech?
Thanks very much. I said, "Do I take my gear off now, Matt?" And he said, "No, you can leave it on at this stage." So just tongue-in-cheek stuff, all that humorous, and everyone laughed.
You're very good at that.
And so then Matt comes over after he's welcomed, and he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Sue." He said, "I called you Phoebe." He said, "I'm very sorry, I got confused." So anyhow, we sat there, and
Do you think he's got a little thing for Phoebe?
And it came what?
Do you think Matt might have a bit of a thing for Phoebe?
I wouldn't think so, Don.
Well,
no.
he got confused. He's
Of
got
course.
Phoebe on his mind.
So this man comes over and starts speaking to us and just gave us a whole rundown on why he's there. And he said his missus and he've been married for 40 years and they put a bit of spice in their life, and now they're all just banging everyone that's got a,
They're what? Banging everyone?
She's banging everyone that's fucking standing erect and breathing. And so it was an interesting night, and there was a couple of people who took their gear off, and we were in lingerie.
You were in lingerie?
No, a couple of people were. We didn't get into the lingerie at all, Don, but there was people there, and he said, Matt said it'll warm up about 10 or 10:30, which is about the time we left. So it was a very, very
Well, why didn't you stay a bit longer?
It was a very sophisticated, well-organised night. People were under no apprehensions to why they were there. It was obviously a swapping sort of thing. If you wanted to, if you didn't.
Was there a queue out on the road, on the
Was there
street?
a queue? The queue ended in Darwin.
What, around the block?
No, there wasn't. It's by invitation, and you.
No,
come.
it's not. You line up. Men are not allowed, if you remember. Men are not allowed to go in.
Yes, they are, Don.
Are
It's
they?
certain nights. If you look up the website, there's certain nights that men can come as long as.
So
they've got-
Tim from the Pines can go along, can he?
Tim, as long as he's got a partner, a
Oh,
woman.
he was walking around with a chap at the football. He had
chap?
a mate.
A man.
Yes.
Well, no, two men can't come in.
Well,
You can
Tim's out
can
then,
be,
is he?
It can be female, male, female.
Female.
Male, female, and it's $90. And I've told you all this. And anyhow, so we had a very, very interesting night. And I only mentioned this because michaelchristianmenswear.com. Do you know what's happening to Mike Christian?
He's coming across to the Swingers Club.
Well, Don, he's leaving. He went over to live in Tasmania.
Right.
I don't think he didn't want me to say this, so I better not say
Don't tell you.
I better not
You've got
say-
a mouth. You
I better
have a
not say
mouth to
that-
mouth.
I better not say that.
No.
He and the Ayatollah.
No.
He and the
No.
I better
No.
not say to people
No.
that he and the Ayatollah are coming back home. Tassie wasn't big enough for Mick. He just, he felt like a big
What, he got
fish
sick
in
of walking around the gorge?
big fish in a very small pond. And I said to Mick, have I found a joint for you and the Ayatollah? If you're bored, why don't you come to the Best Friends Wine Bar? And he said, oh, my word. And I said, yeah, you can get down there. I reckon within 20 seconds of you being in the you'd have the plums out, you'd have the snag,
And he'd do a stand-up routine. He
you'd
does
have the
comedy.
snag knocking your kneecaps off.
He's a bit
You'd
blue,
have the
though.
plums out there. They'll be like Jonathan Apples and the Ayatollah. He said, "Oh no, I don't think the Ayatollah would get a gear off." I said, "You don't know. You give her. She might be a six stubby." She might be a six stubby person. Give her 6 drinks and she might get all the gear off. And Mick said, "Oh, I don't think so." He said, "I can't get her to get it off at the best of times in the privacy of my own home." No, he didn't say that. I made that up. I reckon Mick. I reckon you.
Mickle Horde. What is it got between friends?
I reckon he's already joined.
Has he?
I reckon he has.
Did you see the mistress?
Yeah, I saw the mistress. Yeah, she was there. Who's this?
This is somebody's waved through the wrought iron door. It's the mouse.
It's what?
The mouse.
Oh, yeah. So,
Yes, of course we are, mouse.
so anyhow, that was the night. It was.
Mouse has just been engaged.
I can say this. It was a very well done night. People weren't salacious or grubby, or there was no. It was a very sophisticated evening, and if no one was under any false pretenses as to why they were there, and if you want to get amongst it, you could, and if you didn't, well, so be it. So I tell you, when I say I'd go back, if someone wanted to have a look, I'd accompany Mick, and he's the Ayatollah. I'd go down there. I wanted to.
So you had a good time. Oh, interesting night.
It was a very interesting night. So that was it. I said I'd tell people what it was about. And while we're on Mick, I think Mick's coming back. I think he's coming back. I don't know why he's coming back, but he wanted me.
Just a quick observation while you were wobbling. I just looked
Wobbling?
waffling. I just watched Claudia walk upstairs. Now, why is it? And I looked at her.
Careful, Don.
She had black on except for her white shoes. Then I look around here to the right, and our camera lady has got black on with white shoes. You've got black with red top, and I've got black with yellow. Why is black the dominant colour in Melbourne?
Yeah, God.
Now, answer that, will you?
How diverse.
Why does everybody wear black?
How lateral is your brain?
No, I just think you're so mainstream. Why do people wear black? Have you ever? Why does black sell in Melbourne? Here we are, all got black on, except a bit of yellow.
Yeah, except a bit of yellow, a bit of red, a bit of white, a bit of green.
No. That's just to complement the black, but the basic thing is black. Why is that? Have you ever thought of that? You've got a black skivvy on with the red "You Cannot Be Serious" T-shirt over the top to break it.
Yeah, but how many
dark shorts, black shorts.
Oh, gee whiz.
Why do Melbourne people dress it?
A lot of black cars. too,
Yeah,
on
and they're
the
very
road.
hard to see.
What?
Very hard to see.
Black cars?
Yes. They blend into the surround.
Oh, with the bitumen.
Exactly.
There's something wrong with you, Don. No, I know. I'm serious. I'm taking you along to the AFL medics. There is something wrong with you.
I actually thought
You're saying black
shut
cars.
up. I'll tell you something last night that I did, and I'm still wondering why I did it. I've got a Canara wood fire at home. Oh, Canara wood fire. You know, these are the things that keep you warm. You wouldn't have them in your unit. Wood fire.
No, people get very annoyed if the chimney goes up through the floor into their unit.
Okay.
That's why we don't have open fires in units.
Well, I'm poking and prodding at the fire to get it going last night.
Who are you poking and
The
prodding?
fire.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The
Don.
Canara.
I wasn't
With the poker.
wasn't concentrating.
And I've got so captivated, I couldn't get this bit of wood into where I wanted the position with the poker. Do you know what I did?
You're not seriously having a conversation about how you couldn't position a piece of wood in the Canara
Just
fire.
listen to the catch, will you?
Fuck me, Dad.
I got so hypnotised and so involved. Shut up!
This is what you do.
I put...
You interrupt all the time.
I put my hand into the fire.
Into the fire.
To move the log.
Really?
And I burnt my hand. Now, look at the tips of my hand. They're all burnt. Can you believe that?
Another big day down the coast, Don.
I think I've got CT.
Trying to reposition
CTE?
a log in the Canara fire, and you put your hand in and burnt your fingers.
thing.
No.
Do you think that's CTE?
That is more than CTE. Your mental acuity, you're fucked.
Do you think I've got a case with the AFL? Do you think I could go to the AFL and...
On a whole lot of different cases you could go to the AFL, Don. So that was the Between Friends Wine Bar. It was a very good evening. And as we left, there was plenty of people getting in there, and they were just getting, and people moved from group to group and chatted up different people, and people were getting touched on the
Did you get chatted up?
Hey?
Do you get chatted up?
No.
What about Sue?
Did Sue get chatted up?
She's old-fashioned, Sue. She wouldn't have liked that, I don't think, being
people
chatted
came
up.
and chatted to her. They came and chatted to her. I don't know if they chatted her up. I didn't ask her if.
Well, you were her escort. You should have been protecting and looking after her.
We went for research purposes, thinking four of us were going, seeing as we were the four people who Matt spoke in front of, and he invited us all. But you and the Phoebe just chickened out.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that was that, Don. Would you like me to? Have you got anything else you want to say just at this stage?
Well, I've got a million things here.
Well, get on with them. Just while we're on Mick Christian, this was Mick Christian's shout-out, seeing as I'm not sure when he's coming home. I was amazed.
He's got to sell the house.
Oh, he said that'd be no worry because it's a very good house. He said, Leo Carey from Koroit. Leo is a keen golfer and Cats fan and never misses a podcast. That's Leo. And the bid for the second hat, the first hat cap went for $900. Did you know that? And the second hat, the leader in the clubhouse is Billy Hodges with a bid of $500. Now, Mick went into a bit of a panic mode. He thought he better check with the lotteries and gaming board that we're allowed to auction hats and that, so he's got legal advice, so it's all hunky-dory.
What would you need? Oh, hang on. Is this in Victoria or Tasmania he was checking?
Well,
because they're getting you in every way in Victoria with new taxes. Do you hear that new tax about Airbnbs and things?
Right.
We've had so many taxes since this, I think 50 new taxes over the last 9 years in Victoria.
We have, Don. So anyhow, that's so.
Did you watch the World Cup last week?
Well, Australia.
Yes.
Yes, but you can't watch any other.
Well, good boy, we think alike.
I turned on to watch Germany play Morocco.
Yes.
It's not on.
Same hassle. I thought this. Why would you have the best in the world? This is so rude by the broadcasters within Australia.
I asked the same question, and Sue told me.
Sue,
your
assistant.
Say Sue who, are you?
Well,
Sue, I said that to Sue. I said, and she said it's to do with the sponsorship. They're not allowed. Someone bid for the rights, either ESPN or Optus bid for the rights.
For what? To broadcast?
To broadcast, and then Australia or Foxtel bid to televise the Australian games. And I had no idea, but this is, and you're not allowed to call it Amy Stadium. Someone went to watch the football, the soccer at
Sydney.
Someone went to watch the soccer at Amy Park, where the Storm play, and it's called Rectangular Park. They're not allowed to call it Amy because of sponsorship.
Well, they called the place up in Sydney. I thought, where are we?
Yep.
And it was called something Stadium in Sydney.
They're not allowed to use the names that we use.
She's
because
a smart
of
girl, Sue. She's got a thing across a lot of things.
Pollination, they're not allowed to do it. So if you want to watch anyone else beside Australia, you can't, unless it's on KO.
I was looking forward to watching all the games, and I am just so disappointed. But I did see a girl. Geez, I like watching athletes and their makeup. I reckon you could tell a lot.
Their makeup?
By the way they play the game. And there was the captain of Ireland. She really grabbed me. Now, her name was McCabe. Now, I've got to think of
What grabbed you about her, Don?
Well, her attitude. She was the captain on, Katie McCabe.
Yeah, what about...
Didn't you see?
No, I watched it.
Okay, she was the one who was very physical, but also She led from the front, but she was also a very skilled player. She was a gun. Katie McCabe.
Good,
A
Don.
good leader.
Well, you
She
better
just
get a
stood-
good look at her because they're going to be run out shortly.
I
aren't they?
understand, but she grabbed my attention. That's what I like watching.
So the Americans played over in Perth, and when they played, the Americans played. They beat them. They played over in Perth, beat them 6-0, didn't they? Maybe I've got that wrong. But the American, when they played the national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner,
yeah, I
half of
saw
them
all
wouldn't
that.
put their hand across
Yeah, I
their heart,
saw
and
that.
half of them knelt down.
Yeah, I saw that.
Why the government? Why they would allow them to do that? How weak? How lily-livered are the people who run that team to say...
The American team?
Yeah, when their national anthem's played, you stand up and you put your hand across your heart and stop politicising the sport for your own pathetic self-gratification. Speaking of that, Don, have a listen to this. This is why you must not vote for the Voice. You've got to vote no, or else it's just it'll be a rod for your
People
back.
can make up their own mind.
I'm suggesting if you vote for the Voice, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
What?
I'll tell you. So, at a primary school where a child's at a kindergarten. They are now, let me tell you this, let me just read this out to you. The council at the kindergarten now have come out with this edict that this is going to be read in front of the kids at every assembly. Let me read this out to you. This is what they read out.
Oh, God, get prepared. If you're going to bring a topic up, have it in front of you, please. We waste so much time.
This is the latest OPS, Acknowledgement of Country, that the Student Representative Council have put together. And this is what's going to be read out in front of kids who are 3 and 4, and it's going to be done every time there's an assembly. And this is what they're going to read out. As we gather to learn and play, I won't mention the school, the so-and-so primary school, community acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land, the Burrawongan people of the Kowaloo Nation. The sovereignty was never ceded, and we honour and pay our respects to their elders past and present who have raised and educated their children on this land for over 60,000 years. This is what you've got to read out. We promise to nurture and care for this place that now inspires us to learn and thrive. We will respect the values and wisdom of the country and the use of the power and the voices to ensure everyone feels safe, inclusive, and in value of the so-and-so primary school.
I told you that. My granddaughter went to kindergarten 2 years ago. I told you that.
What history would the kids, the kindergarten kids... The Indigenous people don't have almost their history is irrelevant. They don't have a history.
They do.
So what would they be taught?
They've got a lot of things.
Tell me.
There's
I'm asking
a lot
you.
of history with regard to the Indigenous people.
So what is it?
Well, they've been here for 60,000
And
years.
what
How
have
they survived here for... That's history.
How do they survive?
Yes.
Well, what's that mean? They hunt and they kill things and they eat them.
Yeah, and how do they do it?
So
that's history.
So that's history, Don. But that is just the history.
No, they've got history. Don't be so stupid. That's a stupid
No, I'm
statement.
not being stupid. I'm talking about if you're going to teach kids who are 3 and 4 about the history of the Indigenous people.
They're not. They're indoctrinating them.
Exactly.
They're not sitting and teaching. They're telling it. And what was it the Catholic Church used to say? Give me the child for the first 7 years, and you can have him for the rest of your life, or something along that line. It's the same with the kids.
So when it's
young
in
people
17,
are very impressionable.
So I hope they're taught the history of Australia from 1770 when Cook or whoever came here.
But they should learn a little bit about the others. Well, they should learn about the other stuff as well.
They should, Don, but they're placing the whole emphasis on brainwashing kids to learn about.
I don't agree with that.
The history. So you tell me, Don, and I'm being serious about this, the history of the Indigenous people what would you teach kids that they were here?
There's a lot of history.
Well,
you go down to the Western District and have a look at the, what is it, not middens, how they used to trap fish. Even the middens down at Mornington. Mornington, there's a midden where they'd come down.
Okay, so how they survived, how the Indigenous people survived and made a living. And
no, they didn't make a living, they survived.
So what's the history of, what is the history? I'm being serious. What is the history to teach besides those things?
Well, how they survived in a very harsh country and where they travelled and what they did. Okay. They were nomadic and they stayed here and they survived for so many years. How did they do it?
Okay, so you can teach people that. That wouldn't take a hell of a lot of time to tell people of the history.
There's a little bit more in it than what you think. I watched a show there, it was called Weapons. Have a look at this show called Weapons. I turned it on the other night specifically. It was Aboriginal people about how they got their weapons in the days gone by. In northern New South Wales, I think it was. Can you believe this? And this is when I turned it off. They pulled out European tools, a saw to saw the branch. They had drills and whatever else to make their their weapons of years gone by with Europe. I was more interested in how they did it in that time. They wouldn't have had power tools, drills and whatever else. As soon as I saw this, turned it off.
Don, I'm not decrying the history of the Indigenous people at all. What I'm saying to you is, if you're going to be honest, give us the history about who came here and who developed the country along with the Indigenous history. I don't think there's a hell of a lot of Indigenous history to learn.
Well, there is, but how did they get here?
What?
How did they come? Apparently, Australia was joined to Asia with a chain of islands.
And the Filipinos
over the years,
and the Southeast Asians were the first inhabitants.
Well,
and then that's if you study it, Don, rather than just being brainwashed by people saying they've been here for 60,000 years, they weren't the first inhabitants. The Filipinos and the Southeast Asians were.
They might have been derivatives of those people.
Of course, Don. Of course. So
there's history.
Well, that's fine. But is that ever taught? Did you know that the Filipinos and the Southeast Asians were the first inhabitants?
And that's why it should be taught.
But did you know that? All they do is they say they've been here for 60,000 years. Well, they weren't the first inhabitants at all.
You're talking about all of this stuff. Did you see poor Jacinta Price's grandmother?
Yes.
Was physically abused.
Assaulted.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, she was. That was last year.
Was it? Not just a couple of days ago?
I think it was last year she was assaulted. I believe that. Maybe it wasn't, or maybe I got that wrong. But that was because she is an advocate for the no vote.
I know.
As far as the voice goes.
Do you think, was that like,
so
why
if you
would
think
they
they're
put
going
it
to do
out?
that...
Hang on, if that happened last year, why are they just publishing it now?
Exactly, Don. This is how you suppress the news, that you don't want the narrative to be out there in the public. If you think they're going to do that to Jacinta Price's grandmother, wait and see what they do to us when they pass it. It is a hoax.
I'm still waiting for my information to come in the letterbox. Have you received yours yet?
No, because there's no information that they want to give out because people just won't vote.
No, hang on. There's supposed to be a pamphlet coming out. Where is it? Have you got it?
No, I haven't got it.
Maybe they've lost my address.
So, I'm just saying, to read that out in front of school kids, that grovelling self-gratification of people who are pandering to... It's no need to pander to people. We don't need to have all that interruption, being brainwashed to kids. It's abhorrent. It's cringeworthy, Don. It is absolutely cringeworthy to have it go on, and it went on at the Germany. I'm told at the German Morocco game, they did welcome to country there in front of the...
Bullshit.
I know someone who went to the game, and they said they did a welcome to country there. They give an inch. No, well, you suppose what? Why would that be relevant to? Why would that be relevant to German and Moroccan?
Well, they're coming to country.
Welcome to what country? Our country.
Yeah.
They just, it goes on and on. You give them an inch and it just keeps going and going until we're fed up with the whole bloody thing. And this is why, if you vote yes for the Voice, you'll make a rod for your back.
No, you shouldn't be saying that. Let people make up their mind, but there's not enough information out there.
And why isn't there?
Because the incumbent government are pushing this like crazy. I'd love to know how much money they're spending on it. And they're influencing people who don't or haven't know what they're doing when they come to back it. And the other interesting thing is, I read in the article today, they've done some survey or something, that Victoria is for, they believe Victoria's for. I'd love to know Victoria's Indigenous population in comparison to other states around Australia.
Where'd you done? Or what is it?
I don't know. I'd love to know. I think our Indigenous population would be much smaller than in other states.
And why did you bring this up then?
Because they're saying that Victoria, all Victorians are going to vote for the Voice.
Because they've been brainwashed by every function you go to, every sporting event. The AFL, the most divisive sporting organisation in Australia, they keep dividing people on race. If you just stop browbeating everyone and just let them all enjoy each other's space and company and be part of this country and live under one flag, honestly and truly. So I'm not sure why this, speaking of soccer, I'm not sure why this was, why would you have this as a headline, or why would you have this as a news item? And then, because I read this, and you think I'm being grubby or salacious, I'm not. It said these authorities or the people who run the teams are monitoring the players' periods. So that
they did, no, and also they did you realise that a group of women...
They synchronise periods. They try
There's
and
a phenomenon that women
synchronise.
Well, it's for some reason they become synchronised, if that's the word.
Well, they all have their periods at the same
time. That's an interesting... I didn't realise that. Did you know that?
Not until I read that, and I'm wondering why that would be news.
Well...
Why would that be...
Because I didn't know it, and I've learned something.
Why do you need to know that?
Well, isn't that a phenomenon?
Well, so someone has said the players now are synchronising their periods. The women
it happens naturally. Right. As a group. Mm-hmm. They come together and something must happen.
Why
the interaction
would that be news?
Because I didn't know it. I learned something.
There's a lot of things you don't know.
Exactly.
We don't know. But why? I'll give you another one. Did you know they did a study on constipation? Who would
Go on, tell me about constipation.
Who would commission this study?
Just tell me about it. It's bodily function.
Well, it's not a function.
It is.
Well, your body's not...
it is.
Well, that's because it won't
work properly. But it's still a function.
They did a study on constipation and they found out that this was the increased cause of blood pressure, high blood pressure, or increased instances of heart attacks. Because you had constipation. Why? Well, you would reckon, wouldn't you, if you're straining to do poo?
No, hang on. You mightn't have the desire.
If you're straining to do poo...
No, you might be quite relaxed and still be constipated.
You're clenching your teeth, trying to actually have a crap.
Excuse me, you don't have to be so explicit.
Oh, well, who would commission that study? Why is that interesting?
But a lot of studies, a lot of red herring studies are thrown out there and people like you snap at them.
No, I don't snap at them.
You do. You've brought it up here.
Well, just saying, who wants to know that about women's periods?
Listen, can I mention something, please, which is very relevant and should be publicised? Ian Cook, I heard yesterday, next Monday, I think it is the 31st of July, iCook Foods have getting their case heard in the Supreme Court in Victoria. And Brett Sutton is going to be cross-examined. I think he's the only person who's going to be cross-examined.
Because he lied, didn't he?
It's going to be interesting to see how it goes because there's a couple of other cases that I'm interested in that I think have been, and I don't know why, but the first one was by, he was a former judge, his name was Nettle, who looked into the...
Nettle?
Nettle, who inquired into the lawyer X scandal,
Nettle.
and he made a recommendation that I think was 5 or policemen should be charged.
Was it a stinging rebuke?
Should be charged. His findings were that there are a number of policemen who should be charged. It goes to the government and they say there's no case to answer. He then said, well, what is the point of me conducting this?
Yes.
Now, is this just to satisfy we're going to have an inquiry. Then when he comes out and does the inquiry and finds that policemen should be charged, they're not. No. This is the government overruling.
Yes.
The other one is...
because they're corrupt and
The other one
dishonest.
is, since we've been doing this podcast for 4 years, and when we started, the big story was about the corruption at the Casey Council with John Woodman. Yes. Now, I don't know whether he's been suppressing it, but I think he's been suppressing the findings of IBAC, but I think that's going to see the light of day very, very soon. So we've got 3 cases. The one of Justice Nettle with the Lawyer X thing, which the government just fobbed off, gave it to satisfy. Then you got the Woodman case, IBAC, and now on Monday, and also you could live stream it, I think. The court cases are live streamed. It's an open court, so you can go along and have a look at Ian Cook.
The Victorian government
and I Cook Foods
banned discussion of why the Commonwealth Games was cancelled. They've banned discussion amongst the
amongst who?
Amongst the politicians.
What do you mean in Parliament?
Yes, they've banned it.
How can you ban it?
Exactly. How can you? Because you
have
the numbers.
Monday, which is next Monday, 31st of July. I Cook Foods have got their day in court.
So is the Dandenong Council the one that routed out Ian Cook?
Ian Cook.
So they've now just banned, have a listen to this, in the name of, I don't know, climate change or some bullshit. They've banned oil fryers now, in the public area, oil fryers, and you've got to have air fryers. You're not allowed to use oil.
What, for chips?
Cooking, yes. They've got to be air fryers.
How does...
This is the Dandenong Council.
Okay, well, hang on. Well, I don't know.
Corruptly ran Cook.
No, hang on. Whoa.
Corruptly ran Cook out of
Do the
business.
air fryers do a better job than the oil?
Well, then why haven't they been using them in the first place? And
the technology hasn't been developed.
Oh, bullshit! Why is it the council's job to tell people that they can't cook fish and chips with oil as opposed to air fryers?
Yes, but hang on, they might have a better system.
No, it's not up to the council to say if you've got a
Yes,
better
it
system.
is.
It's up to the individual people who run their businesses to say how they'd like to cook their chips. Don,
No.
Let me give you another example. People coming back from Glenrowan.
Yeah, when Ned Kelly was.
Yes, Don. From the snow. This chap pulled up. I'll tell you who pulled up. I'll tell you who pulled up. Ivan. He'd been up to the snow.
Oh, had he?
And he was coming back and he stopped at Glenrowan and noticed there were 6 cars all lined up next to and there was all the people who owned the cars were inside the cafeteria. And he said to them, said to one of the monks, "What are you doing here?" He said, "All those cars, they're all electric cars." He said, "They were all waiting to charge their cars. They were there at 11:30 in the morning, and the charging station didn't open till noon." So
we've already remarked about that.
They had to wait for the charging station to open, and then they had to wait in line for a couple of hours while their cars were charged.
Do you know that a lot? Hang on, can I just add to that? By a lot of these cars, China's now getting into the development of electric cars. Do you think, now this is a conspiracy theory, and also they're making solar panels, do you think that China could put a chip or computerise them in such a way that these cars become rogue things? They could regulate them over here and they just take off and do things?
In order to get the funding and the benefits, there's tens of thousands of electric cars in paddocks in China. They have no intention of using them.
How do you know?
Because it's a news item.
Yeah, but they're now into the marketing or manufacturers. You just confirmed what I said. What is to stop China? What is to stop China putting something in these cars and sending them rogue over here? The other thing is solar panels. A lot of solar panels catch on fire. I wonder, and a lot of them, again, are made in China. I wonder if they could do something in China by regulating solar panels too on buildings.
They get carbon credits for using electric vehicles or producing them, so they register tens of thousands of electric vehicles that have no interest and no intention of putting them on the road at all, just to cover a quota that gives them the benefit of getting carbon credits.
They could be used. I'm putting out a conspiracy theory to the detriment of a particular community.
All right, well now we're
Can
going
we have a break?
No, you tell us some more.
No,
things
I
that you
don't
got.
want to. I'm sick of it. I want to have a break.
Yeah. Okay, just
I need a break.
one final thing here, Don. Just one final thing. Listen to this. You're interested in these things, I know.
Can I give us, while you're looking for that, I'm going to give another shout out to Scott and Ebony. They operate a compounding pharmacy. Compounding. This is not many compounding pharmacies around. I wish they were near me because I'd get a lot of horse products.
An apothecary.
A what?
An apothecary. That's a pharmacy. A chemist is an apothecary.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
The apothecaries were compounding chemists.
Okay. Thank you. I wish they were near me, but they're in Ballarat because I've got a Weekly Times book on how to make horse products the old-fashioned way. So they're at the Prospect Pharmacy. Now, it's at Wendouree, I think. But anyway, Scott and Ebony, I'm giving them a shout-out. They're compounding pharmacists.
So
personalised medicine, that's what they specialise in.
Here's something you might be interested in, Don, as we close. The world population, they say, is 8,043,831,281 people. People born to women are exactly the same amount, and people born to men are none. So when you say men can when you say men can become pregnant and have children, you know, this is the trans community saying men can become pregnant. Just look at the stats. No man has ever given birth.
What's this got to do with it?
Well, this is pushing back on people who say men can become pregnant because they signal as women.
They're going to have a transgender race at the World Championship swimming. Did you see that?
Well, that'd
in Japan?
be good. Then that'd save all the worry. Then they can have a free for all. Anyone who just wants.
They're going to have a transgender
Well, that'd be
race.
good. That'd be the best way to do it. Just have biological men and women in their sport, and trans and anyone else.
Yeah, but hang on. How does that work? Do the men that trans swim against one another?
Who cares?
Or the women who trans to men, do they swim in the same race?
Let them all jump in the pool. And the nearest
no, well, that's going to be unfair because the trans.
Who cares? It's their competition. We don't give a stuff.
It'll be televised.
We want biological women, biological men.
It'll be part of the World Championships.
All jump into the pool, and the neatest correct entry wins.
A bit like Between Friends.
Oh, neatest correct entry wins if you go upstairs. My wordy. That's it.